Rebecca's hands shake as she signs the divorce papers. Her attorney shifts uncomfortably beside her while Ethan stands across the mahogany table, his expensive watch gleaming under the conference room lights. She doesn't look at him. She can't. Not with Sophia waiting just outside. Her victory all but complete. 15 years of marriage erased in pen strokes while their 12-year-old son sits in school, unaware his world is officially shattering. Rebecca feels dozens of eyes watching through the glass walls of the law firm. Ethan's employees, curious colleagues, maybe even reporters. Her humiliation is a spectator sport now. She finishes her signature with a deliberate flourish and thinks, "He has no idea what I'm about to do." Before we dive deep into this heartfelt story, please take a quick second to like and subscribe. It's completely free, and your support truly makes a difference. Now, enjoy the story. "That's everything," the lawyer says, collecting the papers with a sympathetic glance at Rebecca. "I'll file these with the court today." Ethan clears his throat. "Thank you for not dragging this out, Rebecca." His voice is formal, like he's closing a business deal. Rebecca finally looks up at him. The man she once knew is hidden behind an expensive suit and carefully neutral expression. Does he even remember their beginnings? The tiny apartment they could barely afford? The nights they stayed up dreaming about the future? "I'm practical," she says. Her voice stays steady, even as her heart pounds. "You made your choice very clear." Sophia appears in the doorway, slim and elegant in a designer dress that probably cost more than Rebecca's car. Her red lips curve into a triumphant smile. "Ready to go, darling?" she asks Ethan. "We have that lunch with the investors." Ethan nods, not meeting Rebecca's eyes. "I'll have my assistant arrange the transfer today. The house is yours until Lucas finishes the school year, as agreed." So generous, Rebecca thinks bitterly, letting us stay in our home for 3 more months before he installs his trophy girlfriend. "One question before you go," Rebecca says, rising from her chair. She feels strangely calm now. "Was it worth it?" Ethan blinks, caught off guard. "Rebecca, I don't think—" "I'm genuinely curious," she continues. "Was destroying our family worth it? Will you be happier now?" The room falls silent. The lawyer suddenly becomes very interested in his briefcase. "We grew apart," Ethan says finally. "You know that. This is better for everyone." "Better for everyone," Rebecca repeats. The words taste like ash. "I wonder if Lucas will agree." Ethan's jaw tightens. "I'm still his father. That hasn't changed." "Everything has changed, Ethan. You just don't realize it yet." She gathers her purse and walks out, head high despite the burning behind her eyes. She won't give them the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Not here. Not now. In the elevator alone, Rebecca allows herself one shuddering breath. Her phone chimes with a text. It's from James, her childhood friend she reconnected with last month. "Still on for coffee? You shouldn't be alone today." She stares at the message. James, the one person from her past who knew her before she was Ethan Maxwell's wife, before she was just an accessory to someone else's success story. "When did I stop being me?" she wonders as the elevator descends. "And who am I supposed to be now?" The doors open to the lobby, and Rebecca straightens her shoulders. Step 1 is complete. Ethan wanted his divorce, and she gave it to him without a fight. He thinks it's over. But for Rebecca, this is just the beginning. 3 weeks earlier, Rebecca sits in her parked car outside Ethan's office building. Rain pelts the windshield as she watches Ethan and Sophia exit together, sharing an umbrella. They don't kiss, but their bodies lean into each other with an intimacy that makes Rebecca's stomach twist. She's suspected for months. The late nights, the business trips that suddenly couldn't include her, the way he shields his phone screen when messages come in. But suspecting is different from knowing. Mom? Lucas's voice comes from the back seat. Is that Dad? Who's that lady? Rebecca's heart stops. She'd picked Lucas up early from his music lesson, intending to surprise Ethan with lunch, some misguided attempt to reconnect. That's one of Dad's colleagues, she manages. Looks like he's busy. Let's go home. But you said we were having lunch with him. Lucas sounds disappointed. He's in meetings all day. I forgot. The lie tastes bitter. How many more will she tell to protect her son? To protect Ethan? Why am I still protecting him? She drives home in silence, her mind racing. By the time they pull into their driveway, Rebecca has made a decision. No more pretending, no more wondering. That night after Lucas is asleep, she searches Ethan's office. It takes less than 10 minutes to find evidence. Credit card statements for jewelry she never received, hotel charges in the city where they live, and finally, emails. Dozens of them between Ethan and Sophia, planning their future. She won't fight it, Ethan wrote. Rebecca always puts Lucas first. She'll agree to whatever keeps things peaceful for him. Rebecca sits on the floor of Ethan's home office, surrounded by the evidence of his betrayal. The worst part is, he's right. She would do anything to protect Lucas, including swallowing her pride. But that doesn't mean she'll let Ethan decide her future. What would you do right now if you weren't afraid? The question floats up from some half-remembered self-help book. Rebecca takes out her phone and finds a name she hasn't called in years. James Collins, her best friend before college, before Ethan, before she became Mrs. Maxwell. It's me, she says when he answers. I need advice from someone I can trust. Rebecca, you need a lawyer. James sits across from her at the small coffee shop, far from Ethan's usual haunts. His eyes are concerned as he studies her face. A good one. I can't fight him, James. Rebecca stares into her untouched coffee. You don't understand what he's like now. The money changed him. Or maybe it just revealed who he always was. James's voice is gentle, but his words cut deep. Was that true? Rebecca wonders. Did she ever really know Ethan, or just the version of him she wanted to see? He'll use the press, she explains. He'll drag everything into the open. Lucas reads online now. I can't put him through that. So you're just going to let Ethan dictate the terms? Give him the easy divorce so he can ride off into the sunset with his girlfriend? James leans forward. What about you, Becca? What do you want? The nickname catches her off guard. No one's called her Becca in 15 years. Ethan always preferred Rebecca. More sophisticated, he said. I want ... She hesitates. What does she want? For so long, her wants have been tied to Ethan's needs, Lucas's happiness. I want to stop feeling like I failed because my husband found someone younger. James shakes his head. You didn't fail, he did. That night, Rebecca stands in Lucas's doorway, watching him sleep. Her beautiful boy with his father's dark hair and her stubborn chin. How will she tell him? What words could possibly explain that the family he knows is over? Her phone buzzes in her pocket. Ethan, I'll be home late, don't wait up. No pretense anymore. No excuses about meetings or clients. Just the cold reality that he's with Sophia and doesn't care if Rebecca knows. I could fight, she thinks. Hire the best lawyer. Demand half of everything. But what would that get her? A longer, more painful divorce. Headlines that would humiliate Lucas. And in the end, Ethan would still leave. Rebecca makes a decision then, looking at her sleeping son. She won't fight Ethan for money or property, but she will fight for a future on her terms. You want a divorce? Rebecca keeps her voice neutral as she faces Ethan across their kitchen island the next morning. He's just announced his intention, as if it's another business decision. Ethan looks momentarily startled by her directness, but recovers quickly. Yes, I think it's best for everyone. Including Sophia. He has the decency to flinch. You know about her? I've known for months. Rebecca pours coffee into her mug, grateful that Lucas is at a friend's house. What I don't know is why you didn't just tell me. I didn't want to hurt you. His voice has that practiced sincerity he uses in business interviews. Rebecca almost laughs. How considerate. Rebecca, He runs a hand through his perfectly styled hair. We've grown apart. You must feel it too. When was the last time we really talked? Connected? We've been going through the motions for years. And Sophia makes you feel alive again. The bitterness leaks through despite her resolve to stay calm. How original, Ethan. Middle-aged successful man falls for younger woman. Did you follow a script? His jaw tightens. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Rebecca takes a deep breath. But you're right about one thing. It's over. Hope flickers in his eyes. He expected a fight. Tears. Begging, perhaps. You agree to the divorce? Yes, on one condition. Rebecca meets his gaze steadily. I get full custody of Lucas. You can see him whenever you want, but he lives with me. That's it? Ethan looks suspicious. What about the house, my company shares, the foundation? Keep them. Rebecca is surprised by how little she cares about the trappings of their wealth now. I just want our son, and enough to give him a stable life. Ethan studies her face, trying to find the catch. My lawyers were preparing for a battle. I'm not interested in fighting, Ethan. I'm interested in moving forward. She turns away, rinsing her coffee cup in the sink. Have them draw up the papers. I'll sign. As she walks out of the kitchen, she hears him call after her. I never meant to hurt you, Rebecca. She doesn't turn around. Then why does it feel like you planned this so carefully? The news breaks 2 days later. Tech millionaire Ethan Maxwell and his wife of 15 years are divorcing. The business press speculates about the financial implications. The tabloids hint at a new woman. Rebecca turns off her phone after the 5th call from a concerned friend fishing for gossip. Lucas comes home from school, his face stormy. Everyone's talking about it. Tyler showed me an article on his phone. Rebecca's heart sinks. Lucas, I wanted to tell you myself, but... Is it true Dad's with someone else now? His voice cracks, teetering between child and teenager. Your father and I are getting divorced, Rebecca says carefully. There's a lot I could say about why, but what matters is that we both love you. That will never change. But is he with someone else? Lucas insists, tears forming. Rebecca won't lie to him. Yes. Lucas throws his backpack on the floor. How long? How long has he been lying to us? I don't know exactly. Another half-truth. She knows it's been at least 6 months, possibly longer. He promised. Lucas's voice is small now. When Jason's parents got divorced, Dad said we were different. He promised we'd always be a family. Rebecca pulls him into her arms, this boy who usually resists hugs now. We are still a family, Lucas, just a different shape. I hate him, Lucas mumbles against her shoulder. No, you don't. Rebecca strokes his hair. You're angry and hurt. That's okay, but he's still your dad. Later, after Lucas has retreated to his room, Rebecca sits alone in the darkening living room. Family photos mock her from the walls. Happy moments frozen in time. Christmas in Aspen, summer in Greece. Their life had looked so perfect from the outside. Was any of it real? She wonders. Or was I just playing a part in Ethan's success story? Her phone buzzes with a text from James. Saw the news. How are you holding up? Still meeting tomorrow to discuss your idea. Rebecca looks at the folder next to her on the couch. Inside is a business plan she's been developing since that first meeting with James 3 weeks ago. A plan for her future. A future without Ethan. "Yes," she texts back. "It's time to rebuild." 3 months after the divorce, Rebecca stands in her new apartment, surrounded by moving boxes. It's small, but bright, with a view of the park where she used to take Lucas when he was little. "Mom, which room is mine?" Lucas calls from the hallway. "The one on the right," she answers. "It's smaller, but it has the better view." Lucas appears in the doorway, his expression unreadable. He's been quiet since the move, since the divorce became final. It's weird not having a yard. "I know." Rebecca opens another box labeled kitchen. "But we're closer to your school now, and the park is right across the street." Lucas nods and disappears back down the hall. Rebecca sighs. What happened to her happy, talkative boy? The one who used to share everything with her? "He's hurting," she reminds herself. "Give him time." Her phone rings. Ethan's name flashes on the screen. She hesitates before answering. Is Lucas settled in? No greeting. No. "How are you?" Just straight to the point. "We're still unpacking," Rebecca says. "But yes, he's getting settled." Good. A pause. "The board approved the merger yesterday. It's official. The company's going public next quarter." Rebecca closes her eyes. This is what Ethan left them for. Not just Sophia, but the bigger company, the public offering, the billions instead of millions. "Congratulations," she says flatly. "Is that why you called?" "I want to take Lucas this weekend, show him the new office." "You'll have to ask him if he wants to go." Ethan's voice hardens. "He's my son, Rebecca. The custody agreement says—" "I know what it says, but he's 12, not 2. If he doesn't want to see you, I won't force him." "Have you been turning him against me?" The accusation stings. "No, Ethan, you did that all by yourself." She hangs up, her hands shaking. Every conversation with him leaves her drained. Will it always be this way? The doorbell rings. James stands outside with takeout bags. "Housewarming present," he says with a smile. "Figured you'd be too busy unpacking to cook." Rebecca feels a rush of gratitude. James has been her rock these past months, helping with the move, listening to her vent, encouraging her plans. "You're a lifesaver," she says, taking the bags. "Lucas, dinner's here." They eat sitting on moving boxes, using paper plates. Lucas actually laughs at James's jokes, the first real laugh Rebecca has heard from him in weeks. "So," James says, turning to Rebecca after they finish eating. "Did you tell him yet?" Lucas looks between them curiously. "Tell me what?" Rebecca takes a deep breath. "I'm starting a new business, an art therapy program for kids. James is helping me set it up." "Like for your job?" Lucas asks. "Yes, I'm going to be teaching again, but in a different way, helping kids work through difficult feelings through art." "Like divorce?" Lucas's voice is quiet. "Sometimes, yes." Rebecca watches him carefully. "What do you think?" Lucas shrugs, but his eyes look interested. "Can I help? I could design a logo or something." James grins at Rebecca. "Told you he'd be on board." Later, after Lucas goes to bed and James leaves, Rebecca sits alone amid the boxes. She opens her laptop and checks the business account. The divorce settlement money is there, not as much as she deserved after 15 years, but enough to start over, enough to fund her program for 2 years until it can sustain itself. Is this crazy? She wonders, starting over at 39. But the alternative, remaining in Ethan's shadow, defined only as his ex-wife, seems far worse. She opens a browser and types Rebecca Collins Art Therapy into the search bar. Her maiden name looks strange now, but right somehow. A return to who she was before Ethan, before she lost herself. I don't understand what you see in her. Sophia's voice is shrill as she paces their penthouse living room. She's practically a child. Ethan massages his temples. She's an intern, Sophia. She worked on the presentation. I was being polite. Polite? You were flirting with her in front of the entire board. 6 months after leaving Rebecca, Ethan finds himself in familiar territory. Another argument, another accusation, but this time it's Sophia doing the accusing. You're being ridiculous. He pours himself a scotch. I have a meeting in an hour. Can we not do this now? You always have a meeting. Sophia follows him to the bar cart. Just like you always had meetings when you were with her. Is that how this ends for me too? You find someone younger and move on? The comparison to Rebecca hits uncomfortably close to home. This is different. Is it? Sophia's perfect features twist with anger. You know what everyone says about us? That I'm just a phase, that you'll get bored and go back to your wife. Ex-wife, Ethan corrects automatically, and I don't care what people say. You should. Sophia grabs her purse. Because perception is reality in your world, Ethan. And right now, the perception is that you're a man who throws away 15 years of marriage for his midlife crisis. She stalks toward the door. Fix this. I'm not going to be embarrassed at the next board meeting. After she leaves, Ethan sits alone in the silent penthouse. It's never felt like home, this sleek, impersonal space that Sophia decorated. He misses his old house, the comfortable chaos of family life, Lucas's sports equipment in the hallway, Rebecca's books piled by the bedside. What am I doing? He wonders. The excitement of the affair has faded, leaving only complications. Sophia is beautiful and ambitious, everything he thought he wanted. But lately, she seems more interested in his company than in him. His phone chimes with a reminder. Lucas's art show at school tonight. He'd promised to attend weeks ago, but the merger meetings ran long. He should call and cancel. Instead, Ethan grabs his keys. The meeting can wait. His son can't. The school hallway is lined with artwork. Ethan scans the crowd for Lucas, spotting him next to a large canvas. Rebecca stands nearby, talking to a tall man Ethan doesn't recognize. She looks different. Her hair is shorter, falling in soft waves to her shoulders. She's wearing colors again, not the neutral tones she adopted in the later years of their marriage. She's laughing at something the man says, her face animated in a way Ethan hasn't seen in years. Was she this unhappy with me? The thought is jarring. Dad, Lucas notices him, surprise evident in his voice. You came. I said I would. Ethan moves to hug his son, but Lucas steps back slightly. The rejection stings. Show me your artwork. Lucas leads him to the canvas. It's a striking piece, a broken vase with flowers still growing from the shards. The plaque reads, Growth After Breaking. It's incredible, Lucas. Ethan feels a swell of pride tinged with sadness. His son has talent he never properly appreciated. When did you get so good? Mum's been teaching me techniques, Lucas says, and I've been helping with her art therapy classes. Art therapy? Ethan glances at Rebecca, who's now watching them, the tall man beside her. Yeah, Mum started a program for kids whose parents are divorcing or sick or stuff. Lucas sounds proud. I help sometimes after school. It's pretty cool. Rebecca approaches with her companion. Ethan, I didn't know you were coming. Last-minute decision. He extends his hand to the man beside her. Ethan Maxwell. James Collins. The name sounds familiar. I'm an old friend of Rebecca's. The childhood friend, Ethan realizes, the one she reconnected with during the divorce, James is helping me with the business side of the program, Rebecca explains. I didn't know you had started a business. Ethan feels oddly shut out. There's a whole life Rebecca is building that he knows nothing about. There's a lot you don't know, Ethan. Her voice is calm, but her eyes hold a challenge. Lucas interrupts the tense moment. Mum, can I show Dad the group project? As Lucas leads him away, Ethan glances back to see James place a hand on Rebecca's lower back. The casual intimacy of the gesture makes his stomach twist. She's moving on, he realizes, while my new life is already falling apart. Mr. Maxwell, the board is waiting. Ethan's assistant hovers in the doorway, anxiety evident in her voice. Ethan continues staring at his computer screen, barely hearing her. The headline glares back at him. Maxwell Tech under investigation for misleading marketing claims. Tell them I'll be 5 minutes, he says, without looking up. The door closes softly. Ethan scrolls through the article again. Allegations that marketing materials for their newest product line contained fabricated data. Claims that consumer safety was compromised. Sophia's department. Sophia's responsibility. His phone rings. Speak of the devil. The board wants your head, Sophia says without preamble. They're saying I acted on your direct orders. That's a lie. Ethan feels ice spreading through his veins. I never approved those claims. They don't believe that. Her voice is cold. Your signature is on the documents. What documents? I never signed off on exaggerated claims, Sophia. A pause. Check your email from March 15th, the approval you sent after our dinner at Bellini's. Ethan remembers that night. Too much wine. Sophia's hand on his thigh under the table. A stack of documents he'd signed without reading carefully because he was distracted. How could I be so stupid? We need to present a united front, Sophia continues. Back me up in this meeting. Tell them you knew about the marketing approach. We'll weather this together. You want me to lie to the board? Ethan can hardly believe what he's hearing. I want you to protect what we've built, what you've built. Her voice softens. We can get through this, baby. Just trust me. Ethan ends the call without answering. 9 months ago, he threw away his marriage for this woman. Now she's asking him to risk his company, his reputation. He thinks of Rebecca suddenly, her face at the art show last week, the quiet dignity she's maintained throughout their divorce. She never would have asked him to compromise his integrity. The boardroom falls silent when Ethan enters. 12 faces turn to him, expressions ranging from concern to open hostility. Gentlemen, ladies, he begins, I believe we have a serious situation to address. Rebecca opens her gallery doors for the first official exhibition. 6 months of hard work has culminated in this moment. Children's artwork lines the walls, powerful expressions of grief, hope, and healing. This is amazing, Becca. James hands her a glass of champagne. You should be proud. I am. She looks around at the gathering crowd, parents, teachers, therapists, even a few local reporters. I just wish... What? James follows her gaze to the door. Nothing. Rebecca shakes her head. Lucas was hoping his father would come. He helped organize this whole exhibition. James squeezes her hand. Ethan's loss. Look how much you've accomplished without him. Lucas appears, leading an elderly couple toward one of the displays. This one shows how children process grief through symbolic imagery, he explains confidently. Pride swells in Rebecca's chest. Her son has blossomed these past months, finding purpose in helping with her program. Her phone buzzes in her pocket. A news alert. Maxwell Tech stock plummets amid scandal. Rebecca frowns, opening the article. Words jump out at her. Investigation. Misleading claims. CEO Ethan Maxwell facing board pressure to resign. "Everything okay?" James asks, noticing her expression. "Ethan's in trouble." She shows him the article. "His company." "Not your problem anymore," James reminds her gently. But Rebecca can't help thinking of Lucas. How will this affect him? The scandal, the potential public disgrace of his father. A commotion at the door draws her attention. Ethan stands there, looking disheveled in a way she's never seen before. His tie is loose, his hair uncombed. "Dad!" Lucas spots him, surprise and pleasure crossing his face. Rebecca moves quickly to intercept. "Ethan, I didn't expect you." "I know." His eyes are bloodshot. "Has he been drinking?" "I need to talk to you, privately." James appears at her side. "Everything okay here?" "Fine," Rebecca says. "James, could you show the Reynolds the children's collaborative piece? Ethan and I need a moment." She leads Ethan to her small office at the back of the gallery. "What's going on?" "I saw the news." "It's worse than they're reporting." Ethan collapses into a chair. "Sophia manipulated marketing data, made claims about product safety that weren't true. Now she's claiming I knew about it." "Did you?" Rebecca asks quietly. Ethan looks up sharply. Of course not. But I signed off on documents without reading them carefully. He trails off. "Distracted by your shiny new life?" Rebecca can't keep the edge from her voice. "I deserved that." He rubs his face. "The board is calling for my resignation. Investors are pulling out. Everything I built is crumbling." "What about Sophia?" A bitter laugh escapes him. "She left this morning, said she couldn't be associated with a failing company, took most of her things while I was in meetings." Rebecca feels a complicated mix of emotions. Satisfaction that the woman who stole her husband has shown her true colors. Pity for Ethan. Concern for how this will affect Lucas. "I'm sorry," she says finally, and means it. "I made a terrible mistake, Rebecca." Ethan's voice breaks. "With the company, with us, with everything." "Ethan." "I threw away 15 years. For what? Someone who never really cared about me? Just my success?" He looks at her desperately. "How did I not see it?" "You saw what you wanted to see." Rebecca stands up, uncomfortable with his vulnerability, with her own conflicted feelings. "Look, the exhibition is important. Lucas worked hard on it. Stay if you want to support him, but we can talk about this another time." Ethan nods, collecting himself. "You're right. I'm sorry for barging in. This is your night." As they return to the gallery, Rebecca notices James watching them, concern evident in his expression. She gives him a reassuring smile. Strange, she thinks. A year ago, my world revolved around Ethan. Now he's just one person in a gallery full of people who matter to me. "The board has accepted your resignation, effective immediately." Ethan stares at his lawyer across the desk. 2 weeks of fighting, of trying to save his position, his company, all for nothing. "What about the investor lawsuit?" "We're negotiating a settlement." The lawyer shuffles papers. "They want blood, Ethan. The stock has lost 60% of its value in 10 days. 60%? Millions gone. And worse than the money is the reputation, the legacy. And the SEC investigation. Ongoing, but if you cooperate fully and can prove you weren't directly involved in falsifying the marketing data, you should avoid criminal charges." Criminal charges. The words echo in Ethan's mind. How had it come to this? After the lawyer leaves, Ethan sits alone in his office, former office now, surrounded by packed boxes. Photos from happier times stare back at him. The company launch party, cutting the ribbon on their new headquarters. Rebecca by his side in each image, smiling proudly. Rebecca, who he discarded like an outdated phone when something newer and shinier came along. He picks up the photo from their 10th anniversary. Lucas between them, gap-toothed and beaming. They looked so happy. Were they? Yes, Ethan admits to himself. We were happy, before I decided happiness wasn't enough. His phone rings. Lucas's name appears on the screen. Dad? His son's voice sounds uncertain. Mom said you might be having a hard time. Are you okay? Ethan's throat tightens. After everything, Rebecca still taught their son to show compassion. I'm okay, buddy. Just some problems at work. I saw it online. Lucas pauses. Some kids at school were talking about it. Shame washes over Ethan, his son having to face the fallout of his mistakes. I'm sorry, Lucas. It's okay. Another pause. Hey, Dad? Do you want to come to my baseball game Saturday? Mom says it's your weekend anyway, but I thought maybe... I'll be there. Ethan feels the first genuine smile in weeks cross his face. Wouldn't miss it for anything. After they hang up, Ethan stares at the empty office. He's lost his company, his reputation, his girlfriend. But maybe, just maybe, he hasn't completely lost his son. And Rebecca? The thought of her brings an ache he can't ignore. Her quiet strength at the gallery, the successful program she's built from nothing, the life she's creating without him. I threw away the best thing in my life, Ethan realizes, and I have no idea how to get it back. 6 months later, Rebecca stands in the expanded space of her art therapy center. What began as a small program now serves over 100 children weekly. 3 new therapists have joined the team. Local schools are implementing her curriculum. The grant came through, James announces, walking into her office with a grin. Full funding for the next 3 years. Rebecca squeals and throws her arms around him. We did it! You did it, James corrects, keeping his arms around her waist. This was your vision, Becca. I just helped with the paperwork. Their relationship has evolved naturally over the past months. From friendship to something deeper. James understands her in ways Ethan never did, respects her independence, supports her dreams without trying to overshadow them. We make a good team, she says softly. James tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. The best. The moment is interrupted by a knock. Rebecca turns to see Ethan in the doorway, looking uncomfortable at the scene before him. Sorry, he says. The front desk said I could come back. James steps away from Rebecca, professional as always. I should check on the new installation anyway. We'll celebrate the grant news later. After he leaves, Ethan gestures to the expanded space. This place has really grown. Yes. Rebecca crosses her arms, suddenly self-conscious. What brings you by, Ethan? Lucas is at school. I know, I came to see you actually. He holds out a folder. The foundation board approved your proposal, full funding for the satellite program in low-income schools. Rebecca takes the folder cautiously. After his company's collapse, Ethan had been forced to sell most of his assets, but he'd managed to maintain control of the foundation he'd created in her name years ago. Thank you. This will help a lot of children. That's not all. Ethan looks nervous, something she rarely saw during their marriage. I wanted to tell you in person that I'm stepping down from the foundation board, transferring control to you completely. Rebecca stares at him in surprise. Why? Because it should have been yours all along. He meets her eyes. It was named for you, created for your dream. I just held on to it out of, I don't know, some need to control everything. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Ethan glances around her office, taking in the children's artwork, the awards, the photos of successful program graduates. You've built something remarkable here, Rebecca. All on your own. Not entirely on my own. She thinks of James, of Lucas, of all the people who believed in her vision. I miss you. The words seem to surprise Ethan as much as they surprise her. All the time, every day. Rebecca feels a familiar tightening in her chest, the complicated emotions Ethan still evokes in her. Ethan, don't! Please, just hear me out. He takes a deep breath. I know I have no right to say this. I know you've moved on. I can see how happy you are with James. Then why are you doing this? Rebecca asks softly. Because I need you to know that I understand now. What I threw away. His voice breaks slightly. It wasn't just our marriage. It was your trust, your love, the family we built. Rebecca feels tears threatening. It's too late, Ethan. I know. He nods, his expression pained but resigned. I don't expect anything from you. I just need you to know that I regret what I did every single day. Not because I lost my company or my money, but because I lost you. The real you, not the perfect corporate wife I tried to mold you into. Rebecca wipes away a tear. I wasn't happy either, at the end. I let myself disappear into your shadow, forgot who I was outside of being your wife. You were always extraordinary. Ethan's voice is quiet. I was just too blind to see it. For a moment they stand in silence, the weight of 15 years between them. Lucas misses how things were, Rebecca says finally. The three of us. I miss it too, but I'm trying to build something new with him, something honest. Ethan manages a small smile. He's teaching me to paint, you know. Says I need a creative outlet for my emotions. Rebecca laughs despite herself. That sounds like him. Rebecca. Ethan's expression turns serious again. I'm not asking you to leave James, or forgive me, or forget what happened. I just want you to know that loving you wasn't the mistake. Losing sight of what that love really meant, that was my mistake. The words touch something deep inside her, a wound that has been healing but still aches when pressed. I forgave you a long time ago, Ethan, she says softly. I had to. For myself, not for you. Thank you for that. He steps toward the door. I should go. I've taken enough of your time. Ethan! Rebecca stops him. The foundation gala next month. Will you still attend? Lucas is showcasing his work. Of course. He pauses. Will that be okay? With you and James? It's about the children. Rebecca offers a genuine smile. And about Lucas. He needs his father there. The night of the gala, Rebecca stands at the podium, addressing the crowd of donors and supporters. James sits in the front row, smiling encouragingly. Ethan stands at the back, pride evident in his expression as Lucas guides guests through the exhibition of children's artwork. When I started this journey a year and a half ago, I was broken, Rebecca says honestly, looking for a way to rebuild my life. What I found instead was a calling. These children taught me that our broken pieces can become something new, something beautiful. She catches Ethan's eye across the room. No bitterness remains, just a quiet acknowledgement of their shared past and separate futures. Later, as the event winds down, Rebecca finds Lucas and Ethan examining a particularly moving piece created by a young girl who lost her mother. She's really talented, Ethan says as Rebecca approaches. She reminds me of Lucas, Rebecca agrees. Same emotional depth in her work. Lucas beams at the comparison. Dad's coming to dinner tomorrow. Is that okay, Mom? We wanted to talk to you about maybe doing a father-son art show for the center's anniversary. Rebecca looks between them, surprised by their collaborative spirit. That sounds wonderful. I promise to stay out of your way, Ethan adds quickly, professionally and personally. This is Lucas's idea, and I want to support it. James joins them, placing a gentle hand on Rebecca's shoulder. The senator loved the program. She's talking about statewide implementation. That's amazing. Rebecca feels a surge of gratitude for this man who stands beside her without overshadowing her. Ethan extends his hand to James. Congratulations, you two have built something incredible here. The genuine respect in his voice touches Rebecca. This is the Ethan she once loved, before money and power warped him. The man who could acknowledge others' accomplishments without feeling diminished. Thank you, James says, shaking Ethan's hand without hesitation. Lucas looks between the three adults, relief crossing his young face. So, dinner tomorrow is okay? Of course, Rebecca smiles. I'll make that pasta you like. Later, as guests depart and the event staff begins cleaning up, Rebecca steps outside for a moment of quiet. The night air is cool against her skin as she gazes up at the stars. Footsteps approach, and she knows without turning that it's Ethan. You're happy, he says softly. It's not a question. Yes, she answers. I am. I'm glad. His voice holds no bitterness, just sincerity. You deserve it more than anyone I know. Rebecca turns to face him. And you? Are you finding your way? Slowly. Ethan's smile is tinged with regret. The new business is smaller, humbler, but honest. I'm learning to measure success differently. By what you build rather than what you own. Something like that. He looks at her thoughtfully. I'll always love you, Rebecca. Not as a possession or a prize, just for who you are. The words hang in the air between them, not a plea or a manipulation, just a truth, simply stated. Part of me will always love you too, she admits, the part that remembers who we were before everything else got in the way. They stand in comfortable silence, two people who once shared everything, now finding peace in what remains. Mom, Lucas calls from the doorway. James is looking for you. Something about the grant paperwork. Coming. Rebecca touches Ethan's arm briefly. See you tomorrow. As she walks back inside to join James, Rebecca feels a sense of completion, not because Ethan still loves her, not because he regrets losing her, but because she found herself in the aftermath of losing him. Some endings are really beginnings in disguise. Some hearts need to break before they can expand. And sometimes, the love that matters most is the one you finally learn to give yourself. For now, that was enough. Don't forget to like this video if you believe in the power of love to break down walls and bridge any divide. Please do comment your feedback and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of family, redemption, and the triumph of love over pride. Remember, it's never too late to change your story.